Good morning, I'm Prasad Michael, and this is our morning wrap-up of GE13. Barisan Nasional will retain the federal government. It has won 133 parliamentary seats out of 222, while Pakatan Rakyat managed to secure 89 seats. Joining us live in our studio today is Yong Kai Peng. Thank you for joining us. It's a good morning, is it, for Malaysians today?
I think it's still a good morning for Malaysia because after going through one of the fiercest election and also achieving one of the highest turnout in the history, 80%, I think Malaysians still treasure the democracy. And then what we've seen here, although there's a lot of dispute and controversial, we're still looking at one of the democratic process that has been achieved, where we've seen the opposition is actually gaining a net gain of 7 seats. Okay. But on the other hand, of course, we're looking at, although BN has managed to form a government, but it has actually pulled lesser popular votes than Pakatan. Compared that BN has pulled 5.2 million popular votes, while Pakatan pulled 5.4 million. So BN has a deficit of 269 and 130 votes. So basically, they might be a legitimacy crisis.
Okay, and this time around, Pakatan seems to focus more on the federal seats, parliamentary seats. Right. So do you think that paid off for them this time around?
I think it paid off, but it's not enough. Okay. Yeah, when you're looking at Pakatan, they are making inroads in terms of 3 BN deposit states, which is Johor, Sabah, and Sarawak. However, they also won the urban seats with a bigger majority. But the issue is that they are not winning enough. I think maybe in terms of non-Malay votes, to create a bigger wave and finally achieve. So that's just this last mile that they couldn't make it.
Okay, and looking at the states in particular, like Pakatan lost Kedah, do you think that will affect them a lot?
I think Kedah is obvious infighting within the past. It's very obvious. It's contributed to one of the issues. Okay. The other issues is maybe multi factors that Mukris will be, sworn in as an MB if the BN win the states. I think, but then you're looking at the rest of 3 states where Pakatan Rakyat retained, Selangor, Penang and Kelantan, all won by 2/3 majorities. So I think in terms of the coherent as well as the unification of the party, I think is very important, to defend the state.
And also the growth in certain states like Penang, there's a huge growth in DAP seats. Did you see that coming before this?
I think one of the reasons why DAP win big, as well as Pakatan win, a lot of seats in retaining and also extra seats in Penang. And so I think it's a rejection of how the role played by the One Malaysia Club, who are actually spending huge money in Penang. So I think more or less it represents a sign that Penang peoples are rejecting the money politics.
So speaking of Penang, MCA and Gerakan obviously they play a big part in the state. Now overall, MCA is only left with 6 parliamentary seats, while Gerakan only has 1. So the question is, are they still relevant to politics in Malaysia?
I think what we are looking at, yes, Gerakan is only left with 1 seat, and while MCA with 6 seats. But then you're looking at a situation where BN is increasingly homogeneous, where UMNO in Peninsula, and then together with also the seats were coming from the Bumi Putra parties within Sabah and Sarawak. But then on the other hand, you're looking at the much more multiracial opposition front by the 3 parties.
Okay. So, but where do you see these parties going? Like, because maybe in a few years, would they still be around?
I think they'll still. Sorry, I think they'll still be around, and then I think of course, I think they have to maneuver carefully, because BN is going to play the racial cards. Right. So they're going to say this is a Chinese tsunami, and past is suffered quite a bit. So some of the past leaders didn't make it, like Masabu, Dr. Zhou, and stuff like that. So I think they they have to handle it carefully so that to maintain the the unity of the opposition front.
Okay, so looking at the Pakatan coalition, DAP is this time around is the biggest winner. Do you think it has something to do with the way they campaign, because they have these really big dramas and the way they engage people to social media and all? Do you think that played a part?
Yeah, I think DAP is one of the party that started the campaign very much earlier, and then they have better preparations, and then they actually have more materials.
Okay.
To, and in terms of they have come up with songs and stuff like that. So I think it really shows that the preparation works really paid off. And DAP is leading in terms of the Pakatan by 38 seats, while PKR have 30s and PAS with 21.
And looking at DAP's struggle itself, they took quite big risks in the race of the election.
Yeah.
Kelantan was one of them. How hard was that seat to win?
I think Kelantan was thought to be, it's quite difficult for Kisiang to contest, because Abdul Ghani is quite a popular leader on the ground, and he has been there for 20 years.
Right.
So I think there was a huge pressure that Kisiang might lose in Kelantan. But however, I think because of the way that Kisiang actually sacrificed himself, moving up from the comfort zone, I think that really pushed an issues. Also, there's a sizable swing, I think, in terms of Kelantan among the urban voters. That actually you can see the nearest two seats that Pulai, sorry, and then Tebrau as well as Pasir Gudang lost slightly. If not, I think if they have enough swing to carry them, they would have won as well.
So looking at BN strongholds, Johor was obviously one of them, but this time around, Pakatan also gained seats in Sabah and Sarawak. Was that obvious? Did you see coming?
I think in Johor, BN has been shaken, but then in Sabah, I think there might be some disappointment, because they thought Sabah would deliver more, and Sarawak would 6 seats is rather okay. It's a very very basic. I thought they would be able to deliver at least 10, 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the popular vote.
But I think one of the issues is that Pakatan has been trying to make an inroad in terms of Sabah and Sarawak, but looking at the result, there's much work to be done.
So, looking into the popular vote, they say calculations have found that Pakatan has a slightly more popular vote than BN. What does this actually mean?
I think because it's actually because due to the electoral system that we have first past the post. So, and also the urban seats has a bigger major constituency than the rural seats.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a huge win at Penang, despite all the money politics from BN and all that thing. How did you think that went through? How do you think that Penangites were able to surpass that, look away from that?
Yeah, I think before the election, the few tycoons that actually appear to be started to give up money through various ways, like charities and free concert and stuff like that. Okay. And then there were quite a number of people attending the concert, the free charity, as well as they were giving receipts, free foods and free drinks and in a hawker center and stuff like that. And I think when the election day is nearer, polling day is nearer, there's obvious the complaints about reports about started to giving up money in a petrol station, and then you can claim back the receipt if the BN win. So, however, BN has been trying to cut off the ties with this One Malaysia Club. And Teng Chang Yeo, the former BN chief who resigned last night due to the bad results of the BN in Penang, has actually blamed the organization for causing the defeat of BN in Penang.
So, despite the gains, Pakatan is obviously disappointed because they weren't able to capture Putrajaya.
I think that because it's actually this round, unlike March 8, they project a higher expectation. So people will expect them to win the Putrajaya. But however, it shows that you see there's still a lot of hurdle. Of course, Anwar Ibrahim will complain that there's a massive fraud in terms of the electoral process that actually rob off some of the election result that's supposed to be won by Pakatan.
Okay, and we have the clip from the Pakatan PC, which we'll play for you right now.
We see these irregularities have cost us many seats, particularly those with narrow margin. I mean, of course, they attempted all seats, including, as I said, my parliamentary constituency. And notwithstanding, it would certainly have a profound adverse impact to the results in the constituencies where it is intensely fought. So that's a position that we would like to first state. We want the Election Commission to give a satisfactory answer to why this fraudulent process were being condoned or done, and they are clearly, or they were, complicit to the crime.
And I think one of the issues I think we should be worried about is that I think BN will continue to analyze the whole scenario from a ratio cuts.
Okay.
Like Prime Minister Najib is already, caretaker Prime Minister Najib is already talking about the Chinese tsunami.
Right.
Yeah, and then Choselek saying that this is Chinese is the opposition, while the Malay is the ruling party, and MC is not going to join the government because they are not performing very well. I think we should look at that perspective. Actually, the BN is actually become more homogeneous, while the opposition is a rainbow coalition, multiracial coalition. I think we should look at that is from factors of urban versus the rural, and also factors of where is the opposition is expanding.
Okay.
Also, we should look at the democratic process where the civil society groups actually participate in the election, like Bersih, Pemantau, and Pachaba training and stuff like that. So I think it's a celebration of democracy that we should look at. We should take it as a positive point rather than looking at the result, use the result as and then giving a negative perspective.
Ya, kita telah berusaha dengan sedaya upaya, tetapi oleh kerana ada beberapa faktor yang berlaku, terutama sekali kesan daripada kurang dengan ketara sokongan daripada kaum Cina pada Barisan Nasional, maka apa yang kita rancangkan tidak kesampaian, namun kita berpuasati bahawa sekurang-kurangnya kita dapat mengambil alih kerajaan negeri Kedah kepada Barisan Nasional. Ya, itu bukan faktor Datuk Ghani, sebab tsunami yang saya sebutkan tadi lah, tsunami daripada masyarakat kaum Cina yang peratusan yang besar menyokong pembangkang.
So, BN will form the government. Yeah. Will we see a change in BN now?
I think one of the issues is that actually Najib credibility has taken a hard knock, and I think BN is very much shaken in terms of their base in Pahang, and as well as in Johor. So I think there's no safe seats, no more deposit states. So I think from next round onwards, they will be facing all, challenge from Pakatan in all the seats.
And this will obviously affect Najib's cabinet later on.
Yeah.
So how much do you think this will influence it?
I think he very much have to compromise with possible multi-factions or within factions.
Okay.
And he's not going to get what he wants before the election, that he would be able to command enough credibility, enough support due to the success in the election. Yeah.
Okay. And let's talk more about MCA itself. Do you see the party slowly losing its role in BN?
I think MCA Gerakan, they are slowly losing their roles of playing, as a multiracial, as the partners in this so-called multiracial coalition. So I think that you start to see that UMNO, which is growing stronger, and Prime Minister who is meeting NGOs of Indian community and as well as the Chinese community personally, rather than going through MCA, Gerakan or MIC.
Okay, thank you so much, Kai Ping, for joining us.
Thank you.
That is all for now. Join us more as we look into more developing stories and bringing you the fastest coverage. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.